And so it's the same kid in the same situation in a society that doesn't have the capability or capacity to help them, largely because we've turned the other cheek and it's been stigmatized up until now.
And it's funny because I've seen this is the opposite of many things. It's the opposite of like a straight up medical problem, because I've seen in my dealings when they get to the point and go missing and we look for them, I've seen where money actually masks the problem longer and allows it to get more serious, and parents think they can wrangle it, and they think money is a time machine or an instant fix, and it isn't. And I've seen that people with less going into it have been able to rally with difficulty and not succumb as easily many times. But I've seen people think, well, I'll solve this with money, and they get disappointed because it takes more than that. It takes a lot more than that. I don't know what the solution is, and I think it's awareness and education, because I believe that's the beginning of the solution to everything. But it's not just money. I know that.
Well, there's no question about it. And many believe in a 12-step program that the solution is a spiritual solution, and it's very difficult to define what somebody's higher power is. And, so I don't think that anybody in this today can actually put their finger on this and say, here's the solution. This is what we need to do. I mean, the government is grappling with this. They've got experts and there isn't an answer, which is very scary, but certainly money is not the solution. And with any situation where there is a massive, epic problem in society, there are going to be organizations, people, and, entities that are going to take advantage of those that are suffering. And that was one of my frustrations with my personal experience with this, and having my child go through this was, if you have some money to put toward it, you are literally in a situation where you are trying to lift the bus off of your baby. And you're in, as a parent, or I was in, a present trauma where you're really not thinking very clearly. You are feeling like you are rescuing your child from what may be certain death. I don't know what your training is as a search and rescue person that allows for that adrenaline. We're finding somebody, and, but if this is a parent that is literally trying to help save their child's life, they will listen to experts or consultants or people that tell them, well, this is what works. And people have a feeling, especially here in America, that you get what you pay for. So if you pay for $1,000 a day treatment, your kid's going to be okay. Untrue. I mean, I know people that have failed not failed. You get something out of every experience you have, is what you put into it. But I mean, I know people that have gotten clean and sober at the Salvation Army. It can be done anywhere. And what really is upsetting to me, and was one of the major catalysts for the Bridge Foundation, was to cut through that and be able to say to especially parents, you know what, you don't have to start with or ever spend $1,000 a day and send your kid to a $30,000 treatment center for 30 days and then a therapeutic boarding school for $80,000 a year, because you are told by whoever is profiting from those institutions that that's the thing that's going to help them, that there are choices, and that providing some of those choices at the community level for less money, just to be efficient and effective, is what's important. Ultimately, people have gotten sober for the last 90 years by one person reaching out and helping another.
Well, part of the problem is that people, they get help automatically in a crisis from police, fire, and EMS. And we have the same problem in search and rescue, where we find a lot of people with a missing child, they feel like they're reinventing the wheel. And they feel like they're starting them. There's no need for that. If it's been done before, let somebody have the access to the knowledge that has cost you so much time, energy, and money. And that's kind of what you were trying to do at the Bridge Foundation, And I saw we had we had different people there. We had one guy, I'm not going to say any names. We had one guy who worked with us who ended up taking his own life. A very smart guy, but just down the wrong path. And we had another guy that is fine. And it was just, I was always amazed at how intelligent the guy was. He was just so intelligent, but intelligence and being able to cope are different things. And, it's sad because it's you never know the potential of that life that's gone. Who was your mentor? Who got you started?
I learned on the fly, Mark, for this particular thing. I mean, I'm a lawyer. I was trained I originally was a corporate finance lawyer, so I left that rather quickly, and I started to do nonprofit work because things were happening to me that upset me and that I wanted to create change. And so I learned slowly but surely over many years working part-time while my kids were growing up, how the nonprofit world worked, how government interacted with nonprofits or community organizations, including activist organizations. I've been involved in some activism, that how those systems work, how you create an entity that can help people through a charitable corporation, and what would be the system for bringing people to the table to collaborate with that. So it wasn't a person that was a mentor. It was years of trial and error in terms of setting up those systems. I had worked on developing a melanoma foundation many years ago because I had melanoma many years ago, and my best friend at the time also had melanoma, and she died from it. So, but for the grace of God, there go I, and I started it was the National Melanoma Foundation. Now it's the Melanoma International Foundation, and they have a walk and everything. It's wonderful. But it's been the catalyst was my experience. And then I would use these systems, also systems for activism, for change in legislation, change in laws, to then I would go through the systems, and then I would find experts in the area, and I would ask those experts, what are the best practices? What are the solutions? What do you think needs to happen? And I would cultivate relationships with them through the organization so that I know I'm not an expert, but I know how to find the experts.
Right.
And so, for example, Tom McClellan at Treatment Research Institute, he ended up being the deputy director of ONDCP at the White House. He is back at Penn now, and he was one of the original people that I spoke with because he's the man that's doing the research. They're doing the research about what works to help people, especially adolescents, who are struggling with addiction. He was one of the main people. There were people that are heads of organizations in the area that I essentially partnered with so that when that thing came up that required their expertise, that they were there. I don't have the answers, but I know where to find them. And so that's how I've operated.
Well, that was the thing when I worked with you there, and when we were working every day, you were always a connector. And some people are connectors, and different people take different roles. And, it was amazing that, there was so much different exposure to different things that I hadn't even that late in my life been exposed to there. And it was very interesting to see. It's always interesting to learn something new, but the different people that it branched out, and it was like ripples in a pond, the way it impacted everything. What if you had a single message to tell the public, along with signs, things to look for? What would you want to tell the public about this problem?
It's very real. It is happening in our backyard and to people that you know and to people that you love, and that it is nothing to fear, that it has to be faced head on, and that there is help in the community. There is help at every level, and that acknowledging that there is a problem and facing that problem and getting help for that problem and looking out for clues that there may be a problem, or if it's a young person, are their grades going down, or do they have different friends? Do they seem like they're sleeping all the time? Are patterns different? And again, I'm not an expert in this, but my one message would be, this is not something that we can turn away from anymore. It's something that needs to be treated the same way we treat cancer in our society. If a child has cancer, people don't turn away and say, well, they might have cancer. I don't know. Let's not think about it. I'm not worried. You know, they go and they take them to the doctor and they get tested and they see what can be done about it. And that's what needs to happen here. So especially to parents, to friends, this is not something, you know, don't ask, don't tell, hiding, you know, let's look the other way, because people can die from this. And short of dying, there are horrific things that can happen in life if you're living with this situation, and a person will be struggling and suffering because of it. So to open our eyes and be willing as a society to not say, well, you know, not in my backyard. This is your backyard. It's your child. It's your neighbor's child. It's your friend. And we've got to be welcoming as a community to those that are suffering with this and be willing to reach out a hand and help.
What do you think when this is all said and done? What do you think after you're gone, your legacy will be? What do you think people will say about Nancy Marcus Newman?
Oh my gosh, Mark, I don't know. Maybe you could answer that question.
I'm not.
Oh, that's a biggie. Now, do not touch that. Well, let's see. What will people? Depends who the person is. I think as far as the nonprofit stuff goes, it's that I was really powered by my passion. I was powered by something that I cared about deeply, and you know, if I helped one person. If I help one person through this broadcast, then it's a success. But I certainly do it, you know, with guns blazing. I'm not afraid to speak out or to say the thing that may be politically incorrect. And that if I cared about something and was passionate about something, I went about doing something about it and creating a change. Whatever that change looks like. I mean, I've said for many times that I don't know what will happen as a result of the Bridge Foundation. I don't know that our vision of having this off-grid, you know, holistic environment for young people to thrive in will happen. But I know that something will happen.
I've never had any job where we were thrown out of so many places. As I did with that job.
It's because we were laughing so loud.
We were laughing so loud.
Yeah.
You know, we cherished every happy moment we could get. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Well, you would call the Bridge Foundation. It's www.bridgefoundation.us. Our numbers are there, and we are welcoming any kind of calls for information, for resources, for anything that you have, and it's a very lean operation. Chances are you will get me on the phone or somebody that's very close to me. So, you know, feel free to call us and please, you know, again, don't hesitate. Don't hesitate to reach out anonymously, not anonymously. There are systems, and now it's something that is on the media, can't be ignored. But honestly, you know, we're here 24/7. So.
And you can reach them through the show if you just want to contact the show, and I'll get you in touch with them. And I can tell you it is run very lean. And when I was there day to day, and we were in the office. I was telling somebody just the other day how much you would just yell at me about, you're so cheap. You're so cheap. Why are you so cheap? And I was always cheap with everything. I would wait till something was on sale all the time. But I really thank you for coming. And
thanks for having me, Mark.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You know, you connected. I learned a lot about the world at a stage in my life I never would have unless I stepped outside of my comfort zone and met you on that March day at that semi-abandoned building. And I appreciate that.
Well, and I appreciate all you've done for us as well as a protector and somebody who does do search and rescue and all of the others in emergency services. It is such a critical role now, especially with this epidemic, that it can't be understated how much we rely on you to help us through this difficult time. So thank you.
Thank you for coming. And that's another episode. We're done. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay sane, stay smart, and we'll see you again next week.